welcome to ZI News, this channel's #1 news network where we cover gaming and more. For our top story tonight, is Pokemon Go becomes the fastest game to ever hit $500 million in revenue. And let's get into the article. Oh, and remember, there'll be a link down in the description. Pokémon Go has achieved a number of records since its debut, the most downloaded app in its first week ever, and the fastest to reach 50 million installs on Google Play, for example. But now you can add one more to the list, the fastest game to reach $500 million in revenue, according to a new report from App Annie. Pokemon Go has now surpassed 500 million in worldwide customer spending across iOS and Android, and is on track to hit $1 billion in revenue by the end of the year. The game reached the new milestone in just over 60 days, App Annie says. As if I could, I'd have this little chart they've got here up on the screen. The news followed Niantic Labs' announcement that at yesterday's Apple iPhone 7 event that the game had been downloaded over 500 million times worldwide since its debut. Hold on, there's something on the screen right there that you're not going to see, but I gotta get it off that screen. There we go. And trainers had walked over 4.6 billion kilometers while playing It's now arriving on the Apple Watch, and also likely played a huge role in Apple's related announcement that its App Store had seen 106% year-over-year growth over the course of the last 2 months alone. App Annie had previously reported in August that Pokemon Go was on track to exceed $350 million in revenue to date since its early July debut. Only a short time later, and it has blown past that figure and then some. For comparison's sake, other top mobile games have taken much longer than a couple months to hit the $500 million metric. Candy Crush Saga took over 200 days, and Clash of Clans and Puzzle and Dragons took over 400 days to rake in that much money. The report also pointed out that in-app revenue alone is not Pokemon Go's only source of income. The company is also beginning to partner with brands for in-app exposure too. For example, McDonald's in Japan became the first sponsored location for the game, turning the restaurant's 3,000 stores in the country into Pokemon Go gyms. Yeah, we support Pokemon Go. Hey, while you're here fighting for the gym, buy a Big Mac. I can make your ass fat, right? This month, Niantic announced a partnership with mobile operator SoftBank that will see the company's 3,700 stores turned into Pokemon Go gyms or Pokestops. Another thing I would have up on the screen if I could, but sadly I currently don't have that capability. Meanwhile, Pokemon Go is still retaining its users. App Annie says through its 30-day retention rate has now slipped behind Worlds with Friends. It's still ahead. Though its 30-day retention rate has now slipped behind Worlds with Friends, It's still ahead of Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and Candy Crush Saga. The firm also noted that the game still doesn't seem to be stealing time from other apps, but instead claiming more users' non-mobile time. Another little thing I have up on the screen right now if I had that capability. And that concludes this article. On to the next. NASA is now launching a spacecraft to intercept an asteroid. Let's get into the article. Oh, come on, you laggy piece of junk. NASA is launching a space probe called OSIRIS-REx on Thursday to chase down a dark, potentially dangerous asteroid called Bennu. The probe will take a sample of the asteroid and, in a U.S. space first, bring the sample back to Earth. I'm really excited. I can't wait to get to the asteroid, OSIRIS-REx program scientist Jeffrey Grossman told CNN. And we're going to learn so much about the solar system from studying this asteroid and getting a sample back. There's a picture I would have on screen right now, but again, I don't have that capability. If you're thinking this sounds a bit like the plot from the 1998 sci-fi flick Armageddon, you would be right, but without Bruce Willis. There won't be any people on this spacecraft. And without space shuttles. NASA retired the shuttles in 2001, for those of you who don't know. In this real-life story, OSIRIS-REx will study and sample Bennu, a big roundish space rock that has made it onto NASA's list of potentially hazardous asteroids. That means Bennu is one of the most dangerous space rocks we know of because it could one day collide with Earth. Thursday's launch is scheduled for 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time with backup launch windows for an additional 33 days. OSIRIS-REx will lift off from Cape Canaveral on top of a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket. The spacecraft will roll out to the launch pad Wednesday. The probe is scheduled to arrive at Bennu in August 2018. For months it will hang out, take pictures, make scans of the asteroid surface and create a map. Then in July 2020, OSIRIS-REx will unfurl its 11-foot long, 3.35 meter robot arm called TAGSAM and make contact with Bennu's surface for about 5 seconds. During these few seconds, the arm will use a blast of nitrogen gas to kick up rocks and dust and try to snag a sample of the dust and store it. We are basically a space vacuum cleaner. Yeah, it sounds a lot like it. Though that would be one really big dust pile to clean up. Especially if it hit Earth. Then again, we'd all probably be living underground at that point. Right? Because of the impact. Dante Loretta, the mission's principal investigator, said at NASA's briefing Wednesday, NASA hopes to get at least 2 ounces, 60 grams, and maybe as much as 4.4 pounds or 2 kilograms of asteroid dust and small rocks. We kind of expect a gravel field on the surface of the asteroid, Loretta said. And he think I'm gonna try and correct the bad grammar here. He said he thinks the rocks will be about half an inch in size based on information gathered by NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope. OSIRIS-REx heads home in March 2021 and arrives back on Earth on September 24, 2023. But it won't land, and in a bit of Hollywood-style drama, it will fly over Utah and drop off the capsule holding the asteroid sample. A parachute will guide the capsule to the ground at the Utah Test and Training Range in LA County. Will Bennu really hit Earth? The short answer is maybe. If it does, it's big enough to do some damage. Bennu has a diameter of 1,614 feet, or 492 meters. It makes its next approach to Earth in 2135 when it will pass just inside the Moon's orbit. This close approach will change Bennu's orbit, and scientists say that could cause it to impact Earth sometime between 2175 and 2199. The odds are small, about 1 in 2,500, but NASA wants to get as much warning as possible for anything that threatens Earth. It's worth pointing out that while Bennu is a known threat, NASA said only about 51% of the near-Earth asteroids of Bennu's size have been found, meaning there could be lots of unknown threats out there. Very comforting to know. Oh, am I right? That's so comforting to know. The mission is a first for NASA, but this is not the first mission to bring an asteroid sample to Earth. Japan's Hayabusa spacecraft brought back a small sample of asteroid Itokawa dust in 2010. And NASA has also brought back other space rocks and dust. The Apollo astronauts brought back rocks and soil from the Moon. NASA's Stardust mission brought back samples of dust from Comet Wild 2. The Genesis mission brought back samples of solar wind material ejected from the outer portion of the Sun in 2004. And NASA has landed on an asteroid before. Where the Near Shoemaker mission touched down on asteroid Eros in 2000, it's still there, but didn't send back any samples. What OSIRIS-REx won't do, it won't blow up Bennu, and it won't save the Earth from any other missing space rocks. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, that's a complete reference you're never going to get. Right now, efforts to defend the planet from asteroids and comets are still in their infancy. It really takes more than one agency for the kind of capabilities that are needed for this. Lindley Johnson of NASA's new Planetary Defense Coordination Office has told CNN. He said the new office is coordinating with several agencies, the U.S. government, and other nations to help develop resources to defend Earth from asteroids of about 300 feet or 100 meters in size or larger. For smaller asteroids, we would just be told to take cover. There's a link to a related article in this article. But you'll be linked to that through this article anyway, so I'm going to continue with the story. But we would have to know years in advance that a dangerous rock is coming before we could do anything about it. We would need probably at least 5 years warning to 10 years warning to be able to launch an effective space mission to deflect that object. NASA has a spacecraft called Neowise that is hunting potentially threatening asteroids. Ground-based telescopes also are helping watch Pan-STARRS linear discovered Bennu in 1999 and Alias Sky Survey. Early Monday, the Alias Sky Survey detected an asteroid close to Earth that had never been seen before. The rock was given the designation 2016 RB1, and it's just about right now. It's on its closest approach to the Earth, passing underneath the Earth at 21,000 miles, or 33,796 kilometers, Johnson said, and in a briefing Wednesday afternoon. And that's closer than communications satellites orbit the Earth. NASA estimated the asteroid to be between 25 and 50 feet, 7 and 9 and 16 meters in diameter, and said it was not a hazard to Earth. If it were to have impacted the Earth, it would have disintegrated in the atmosphere, Johnson said. Besides trying to identify potentially hazardous asteroids, Johnson's agency is working on plans to deflect them away from Earth. It's collaborating with the European Space Agency on the Asteroid Impact and Deflection Assessment Mission, and it's working with other NASA departments on the Asteroid Redirect mission. I'm going to drink my coffee for a minute. Well, less than a minute, but you get the idea. The name OSIRIS-REx is an acronym for the spacecraft mission and objectives: origins, spectral interpretation, resource identification, and security regolith explorer. The acronym spells the name of the Egyptian god Osiris. Those of you who know Egyptian mythology know that god's fate is not a good one. Not saying that says anything about the mission, but yeah. The probe is about 20 feet or 6 meters long. With its solar arrays deployed, it's 8 feet or 2.43 meters wide, and its height is about 10 feet, 3.15 meters tall. Minus fuel, OSIRIS-REx weighs 1,940 pounds or 880 kilograms, and with fuel 4,650 pounds or 2,110 kilograms. That's a lot of weight. The sample return capsule weighs about 100 pounds or 45.4 kilograms. The mission costs about $800 million, excluding the rocket. Whoa! American tax dollars at work. Bennu was named by North Carolina student Michael Puzio. Oh, I might have just butchered his last name there, I don't know. During a 2013 international contest. Puzio, who was 9 at the time, thought the spacecraft's rocket arm and solar panels looked like the Bennu bird, also from Egyptian mythology. Before Puzio stepped up, the rock was known in the scientific community as 1999 RQ-36. And what happens to the spacecraft crashed after it drops off its sample? OSIRIS-REx will keep flying and will go orbit the sun. NASA said it may be repurposed, but it won't be bringing home any more samples. And that's the end of that article. On to the next. Sorry about that. The tablet shut down and rebooted for no apparent reason. Well, on to this next article that is not normally something I cover here on the channel. Well, scientists in the UK discuss sex robots and digital intimacy. Yes, you heard me right. This is actually a thing. My question is, why? The London AP is discussing sex robots. That is precisely what scientists and academics are doing at a British conference, and it's also covering all too modern issues like digital intimacy and Facebook users older than 58. The Human Choice and Computers Conference in Manchester, starting Wednesday, is focusing on constantly evolving intimate relationships. It's between humans and technology. University of Oslo, Professor Charles S. Here's how you know I'm a bit of a nerd. I almost expected that to say Charles Xavier. X-Men fans know what I'm talking about. It says social robots such as mechanical dolls may well be able to offer good sex on demand. And it adds that human virtues need to be cultivated to avoid becoming identical with the machines that service us. Kathleen Richardson from Britain's De Montfort University, who heads a campaign against sex robots, told Sky News that using sex robots would increase human isolation as people will try to meet their complex needs with inanimate objects. And that concludes this article. Our next article is, what did the real Loch Ness Monster look like? And I'm pretty sure you guys will see this one coming from either the description below or the title of the video. Scotland's real aquatic monster, an ichthyosaur fossil discovered on the Isle of Skye, has spent decades in storage waiting for modern technology to help paleontologists understand its mysteries. And there's a picture I would have on screen right now, but I don't have that capability. The Loch Ness Monster is a celebrity featuring a cultural phenomenon from Scooby-Doo to Pokémon. And there are museums in Scotland dedicated to understanding the creature. Some aficionados have dedicated their lives to understanding and explaining Nessie. The story of the real Loch Ness Monster is less well known, and certainly less explored, but researchers are endeavoring to change that by studying the remains of a fossilized ichthyosaur discovered decades ago before technology existed to safely free the fossil from its rocky casing. For starters, I didn't even know Pokemon did a Loch Ness Monster thing. I mean, we have, over 700 species now? With more on the way with Sun and Moon? I did know, however, that Jeremy Wade of Animal Planet's River Monsters did a whole episode special where he attempted to find a modern day creature that could explain away the Loch Ness Monster sightings that continue into modern times. My personal theory on this one, and I'll cover in a video I'll release after this one. People don't realize that real sea monsters used to exist, or so modern science claims. Ichthyosaurus study lead author Steve Brasate, a professor at the University of Edinburgh, told Agence France Presse by email they were bigger, scarier, and more fascinating than the myth of Nessie. The new fossil is one of them. It actually lived in Scotland 170 million years ago, or so modern science claims. The fossilized remains of the Storloch monsters, as the Ichthyosaurus is colloquially known, were discovered on the Isle of Skye in 1966. It likely lived about 170 million years ago, or during the Middle Jurassic period, in Scotland, and was about 13 feet long. Ours renditions of what the ancient creature may have looked like portray an animal with a long snout filled with hundreds of sharp teeth. So few people have ever looked for fossils here. Dr. Brasate told the Washington Post, Scotland isn't what you think of when you think of fossils, but there are a lot out there waiting to be found. Few fossils from the Middle Jurassic period have been found anywhere in the world, according to Brasate, but it was likely an important point in the evolution of several different species, from Tyrannosaurus to flying birds. Scientists believe that the marine dinosaur discovered on the Isle of Skye is an ichthyosaur, or unlikely a previously undiscovered species. Since fossils from the epoch are so uncommon, and however they have not yet studied the Storloch monster thoroughly, they cannot yet say for sure. Now, through a combined effort by the University of Edinburgh, National Museums Scotland, and British energy company SSE, researchers are using new techniques to free the fossil from surrounding rock and reconstruct the ichthyosaur's frame. The Loch Ness monster isn't Nessie, but many Nessie theorists do believe that the fictional monster could be a descendant of such an aquatic dinosaur. Legend has it that the first sighting of Loch Ness' most famous resident was in 565 AD, when Saint Columba reportedly banished a water serpent that attacked a man in a nearby river. After photos of the monster surfaced in the early 20th century, since then revealed as hoaxes, Nessie's legend grew, and many sought answers. One possible explanation for the monster's dubious existence, according to fans, was that an ancient dinosaur had become trapped in the lake. Sometimes scientists point to pareidolia, a phenomenon which occurs when the human brain seeks meaning where it doesn't necessarily exist, to explain the belief in Nessie. As the Christian Science Monitor reported last year, whether an illusion or not, the Loch Ness monster has driven plenty of tourism in Scotland. Once fully excavated and displayed, the ichthyosaur could do the same. And that concludes this article. Stay tuned for a channel update. Okay, in this channel update, I have a bit of news for all of you. The battle animations have been subsequently delayed indefinitely until I can get a sketchbook that I'm not going to use for anything else in order to do them. I will be able to get the opening sequence for the first one done, and because that's actually a real simple one. It's going to be still images of the Zoids that are going to be battling, with overlay of the text appearing on the screen, which I'll achieve through an app that allows for me to do such things. Second, expect to see more original Zoids designs here on the channel. Oh, dang it, that stupid thing popped back up again. And to get that sort of stuff going, it's gonna take a few weeks, but I might eventually be able to get my computer, which is in all these videos behind you guys, going to where I can do Let's Plays and such. But again, that's going to take a while. A notification from an app I have on there. Sorry you had to hear that. Let's see, what else? Expect more top 10s, either Zoids related or otherwise. And I'm even going to, at some point in the future, be releasing a review for the Zoid's New Century Zero anime, which I just finished earlier this week. And that pretty much concludes this. Yes, so please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you on the battlefield.